So the primary place where kids start developing biases are likely at home, because this is where we first have exposure to ideas. Then we also developing our biases in school based on not just what we get exposed to, but also what we do not get exposed to. So no child is thinking, oh, because she's a girl, or because he's black, or because they're Muslim, they're good or bad. That kind of bias is always socialized. That kind of bias comes through messages that children are picking up early in their lives. And if you look at young children at play, and if you look at young children responding to like other children in their distress, they're really, really empathetic little human beings. So that empathy for people who are not like me has to be specifically nurtured. First, reflect. Who are we friends with? Who do we interact with? The question really isn't who is included. The question becomes who's excluded from my own personal circles. And then I want to know, what are my children seeing about the interactions that we have with people who are not like us? And I might look at my children's toys, and I might look at the shade of all the toys that my daughter has, and I might look at the art that's represented in our home, and I might look at the books that are on our shelves. Whose stories are they learning about? Are they only learning the stories and the histories of people who look like us? Particularly when it comes to discussing difficult topics like racism, there just isn't going to be a way to have a one-off conversation. The best kind of conversation that a parent is going to have with a child is actually a conversation when a parent is going to ask a child more questions than they're going to answer questions. And so as a parent, I might, instead of like struggling or fumbling for the right words, I might just ask, what have you heard? What have you seen on TV? What are your friends talking about? What I would like parents to do, we really spend the time to explore all of your children's feelings, to explore their feelings of fear, their feelings of confusion, their feelings of anger. It is probably better to have a conversation about your own feelings with your child than for your child to indirectly learn about your feelings through conversations that you might be having with your partner or your spouse, or with your sister, or with your friend on the phone, or to just have your child like seeing you kind of screaming at the television or some other personal screen without the context that we all have feelings. We could identify our feelings, and we can take care of our feelings, and we can also think about beyond our feelings, how can we do things to be helpful? First step is educate yourself, and the next step is have the conversation over and over and over as your child is growing.